Okay. Mishnah, Kilayim, Perek Beis, Mishnah Yud. Okay. Yeah. So we said yesterday's Mishnah that you're supposed to have a base roiva between each type of vegetable or grain that you're growing in the field. So oila can meet this base roiva, meaning anything that's in the base roiva counts for the base roiva. Like if you have a crack in the floor that's full of water, even though you can't plant, the Rab says, even though you can't plant in there, it counts towards the base roiva as a empty space. Meaning you don't have to have a base roiva of potential planted area. No, it's just any type of area is enough. Even if it's full of water and that type of thing. Achilas hagefen, eating around the grapes, grape meaning grapevine, kever, and a grave, basela, and rocks, oil and b'midas base roiva, they also count towards the base roiva. Right? Meaning these places, including around the grapevine, because the grapevine you can't plant around that itself. So whatever it is, all empty space counts towards the space in between different types of vegetables. Tua b'tua. If you want to plant one tua within a field of another tua, then base roiva. Then you need a base roiva in between. Meaning if you're doing tuas are just a generic term for grain. But you could have barley and oats and wheat, right? So you need a base roiva in between. Yorok be yorok, but vegetables to vegetables, that does not need a base roiva. Base roiva is about 10 amas by 10 amas. Vegetables, a shisha tfachim, you need 6 tfachim, right? So meaning you need 6 tfachim for the length of 6 tfachim, and after that it doesn't need. Meaning it can be like on a triangle. As long as in one area there's 6 tfachim wide by 6 tfachim long, where there's no growth, then that's enough separation between vegetables. Tua v'yorok b'tua. So let's say you're trying to separate grain and vegetables, or vegetables from grain, base roiva, that also needs a base roiva. Yorok b'tua shisha tfachim. He's more meko. Right? He says if you're trying to separate between the vegetables and grain, then all you need is 6 tfachim. So again, so this Mishnah is basically talking about the first. It talks about that when you need a base roiva, it doesn't need a base roiva, meaning a field that you can't plant, that you have the potential to plant there and you didn't plant there, right? It doesn't need, meaning you could have rocks and holes with rain and a caver there, that all counts towards the empty space. And then there are different measurements of how between one grain and another grain, you need a base roiva. Between vegetables, you need 6 tfachim. There's a machlokes if you're separating between tefua and between grain and other vegetables. Mishnah Yud Aleph. Tefua naita al gabi tefua. So if you have one tefua leaning on top of another tefua, meaning you have like by the beach, you have what are those things? Straw, whatever it is by the beach. I don't know what it is, but let's say that would be wheat. So even though you separated it, different types of grain, but let's say one of them is so tall that the wind blows it and then it's hanging out over the other type of grain. Yorok al gabi yorok, and the same thing for vegetables on top of vegetables. Tua al gabi yorok, yorok al gabi tua. Any of those things, hakol mutter, that's all mutter. It's mutter to have it like that. So even though when you're passing by, it looks like it's mixed in, but on the bottom where it's planted, if it's not mixed in, and the only reason why it looks mixed in is because the growth is so long, so then it's mutter. Chutz midalas yivanis, except for a dalas, a gourd from a Greek gourd. Why? Because those Greek gourds, they have huge leaves. Then what happens is they actually get entangled with the other leaves. So that's already too much. Meaning in the ratio that we're not worried about it, that's when it's just one grain is on top of the other grain, but they're not mixed up. But the las yavanis, at least according to the Tanakama, is they get mixed up. So therefore, you would have to make sure it's totally separated. Rameimer, afakishu sapula mitzri. He says even cucumbers and beans, they also have this issue of getting mixed up and actually getting tangled up. The Royani is the Rayan Midvarai, but Rameir says another interesting third Mishnah in a row, or maybe no, 3 out of 4. But an interesting thing. Rameir says even gourds, even cucumbers, and these mitzri beans. And he says, but I hear what the Tanakama is saying more than what I'm saying, meaning that it does not apply to the cucumbers and to the beans. Meaning Rameir was saying over what he heard. Right, but he says makes more sense what the other side is saying. Okay, again, this Mishnah again is just talking about when leaves from one type of mint go on top of the other type of mint. So then it's not considered a mixture unless they mamish get mixed in with each other. Okay. We finished a Perek, right? L'chaim. All right.
I need 10 minutes.
What?
And I need 10 minutes. I'll be at the brewery.
Oh, for the next. Well, we're not finishing a Perek tonight. Okay, so we're up to Shaary, Yud Beis. Oyd Amar Olav Hashalom. And Shlomo Melech said another thing in Mishlei. Me'orei nayim yisamach leiv shmua toiva tidashen otzem oizen shemas tichachas chaim bekerev chachamim tolim. It says, so Me'orei nayim makes the meaning the light of the eyes makes the heart happy. Shmua toiva, hearing good news makes your bones fat. Oizen shemas, the ear, listening ear, Chaim bekerev chachamim tolen, gives life and it stays in the chachamim. Chacham leiv ladas. So this is what it's telling. It's telling any chacham leiv should know. Ki lo yitachin shechiba Shlomo alav hashalom dvarim b'teilim ke'el lechinam. Shlomo Melech is not writing things for no reason. Right? The toich divrei hamusar v'yira, within the words of Musar and Yira, which is what Mishnah is all about. B'shekvar hey Olav HaKosav v'yachkam mikol adam, and the pasuk already says that he was the smartest of all people. So meaning, so he's not saying that the eyes, the light of the eyes makes your heart happy, and the good news makes your bones fat. What does he mean by all this? This is how we have to explain it. All right. What does he mean? But that the light of the eyes makes the heart happy. The eye is a very bechubedika, right? It's very bakovadika limb. I don't know if it's considered a limb, whatever it is, right? Ki yiru by because you get to see things that make your heart happy, right? You see nice things. I imagine you see people that you're happy to see. And the ear is even more chashuv because you get to hear good news. And when it means that it makes the bones fat, right? So that makes she'ein by hargosha v'lo yidushim b'marinah bildi b'tainug yotzim, right? Because of meaning the bones that don't feel anything and don't become fatter, right? Then it's v'lo yidushim b'marinah bildi b'tainug yotzim. So the only way it's going to get any sort of pleasure is if if he hears good news. I can't say I have any idea what Rabbeinu Yonah is talking about. Meaning he's saying that for some reason the bones, so the bones will not get pleasure from what the eye sees. It would only get pleasure from what the ear hears. Right? So I don't know exactly. Let's just do one more, two more live. The ear is more chashuv than other evarim. Because we know that if somebody's eyes get knocked out, so then the damager has to pay the price of the eye. But if somebody goes deaf, right, then that person that goes deaf gets paid for the whole thing. So therefore you see that there's much more value in hearing than seeing. I think remember we discussed this. We weren't sure exactly what was going on with that. All right, let me see, what would be better, to be deaf or to be blind?
Because when a guy can't hear, he can't be makabel anything, and he can't grow, so he's basically dead.
And blind.
So seeing is believing.
Yeah, but you can hear a good musashmooz, and it makes the person, it inspires a person. But if a guy can't hear, he can't grow, as I Brankman. Yeah.
I hear, but
we have the written word. We're reading now the written word.
Yo, check it out. Check it out.
What? What does it say? The written word. What do you mean? Because you can't see Torah. Is that what you're saying?
He can hear. He can hear a drasha. He doesn't see. Okay, but he can hear a drasha.
Yeah, I prefer to read it, but every night I come home, I get a drasha.
You prefer to hear
I come home, I get a drasha from my wife. I'd rather be able to see.
Rebbe Laban, you prefer to hear and see. Not a problem. We all agree with you.
Right. Okay, I hear. It's still yeah, it's still hard to understand, but okay, but that's you're saying from a Musar.
Saying that I think that's what they look at. That's why when someone knocks out somebody's hearing, there's a different halacha than knocking out the eye.
You mean, okay, but I'm saying.
I'm sorry, even though Piderach HaMusa, you want to go that far? I don't usually do that far, but
somebody with learning, if he can see, he could learn. If he
seeing on a higher level,
because they can't hear,
Ryan as a Kaiwas, they reached the drag of Ryan as a Kaiwas. Didn't just hear the
I gotta remember, is this talking about from beginning of life, or is this you born like that? So, Rabban, if you're born without hearing, what are you reading exactly?
Well, first of all, hold it, parents. Don't say if you're born. Somebody is born.
I understand. You can't be reborn again, Rabban. You can't
Not
be reborn. You're already born.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't say that. Say, you know what I mean?
If somebody's born without hearing, is it right? Yeah.
You say, parents saying a good point. If you're born without any. Then yeah, if you're born without anything, then I hear your point. Okay, very good.